Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you found this video, this is your very first guitar lesson. I'm going to take you through Guitar 101, the guitar basics. So I assume that maybe you just purchased a new guitar, maybe you were gifted one, or maybe you're even looking into guitar for the very first time and you don't even have one yet. This video is for you. I'm going to start at the very beginning and I'm going to assume that you know nothing. In my hand right now, I am holding what's known as an electric guitar, but everything I teach you applies also to an acoustic guitar, which I have right here. But before we get too far into it, I do just want to remind you to like this video, and not only that, make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you never miss when I post a new video. So the very first thing we're going to go over is how to properly hold the guitar. It doesn't really matter if you have one in your hands if you don't know how to hold it right. So maybe it was just handed to you for the first time, maybe you just picked it up off the rack, but the first thing you're going to need to know is how to hold it. And then later we're going to go over what each part of the guitar is, how to even strum a few chords. I'm going to take you through the very basics, but first things first, how do you hold this sucker? So if you are right-handed, that means that your right hand is going to be what you use to strum the guitar. So what that means is you're going to be holding your pick in your right hand. This little triangle shape right here, if I can get it to focus, this is what's called a guitar pick. You use this to strum your guitar. So if you are right-handed, this means that you will be strumming your guitar with your right hand. So that means when you take your guitar, you should be laying it in your lap, just like this. Keep in mind that you can use a guitar strap if you'd like, but for this purpose, I'm going to sit it in my lap. You should be sitting it like this. So that means the headstock, the neck, this long part of the guitar should be on your left side, and your left hand should be on the neck, this part right here. Your right hand should be at the body of the guitar, which is the big thing. And again, this is true for an electric guitar or an acoustic guitar. If you're right-handed, you want the guitar to be just like this. If you are left-handed, it is the same thing, but reverse. I will point out, if you are left-handed, it is going to be harder for you because they make left-handed guitars, but typically they're harder to find and you can't just get whatever guitar you want. Left-handed guitars are a little bit harder to find, so a lot of people, including Jimi Hendrix, actually take a right-handed guitar and play it upside down like this. So this is awkward for me to even hold, but your right hand would be what's on the neck, your left hand would be what's over here. But I'm assuming most of you watching this video are right-handed, so again, you're going to want your left hand on the long skinny part of the guitar, you're going to want your right hand at the body of the guitar. So what you're going to do is you're going to want to rest the body on your leg like this, and then you're going to have your neck, which again is this long part, you're going to keep it angled slightly upward. If you were wearing a guitar strap, it would be the same thing. It would just be attached by these two buttons right here on your guitar, and it would be draped around your shoulder, but you'd still want it hanging just like this with the neck at a slight angle upwards. So now that it's sitting on your lap, what you're going to want to do is relax your shoulders, and you're going to take your right hand, which is your picking hand. Again, this is the hand that you're going to hold your pick, and you're going to drape it over the guitar just like this. So you're going to relax your shoulders, you have the guitar on your leg, and you're going to drape your arm across the body just like this. Now that you know that your arm goes over the body like this, let's address how you should be holding this thing that I called a pick. Now you can just finger pick your guitar, you can use your fingers to strum and pick different strings, but for this lesson I'm going to go over using a pick, and I recommend you start with the pick as well. It doesn't really matter the thickness or what it says on it, as long as you have a pick, you can start getting picky about your picks later. But again, once you have your guitar on your lap, just like this, you're going to take your pick and you're going to squeeze it between your index finger and your thumb, and you're going to keep it angled downward slightly. So now that you're squeezing your pick between your index finger and your thumb, and now that you have the guitar rested on your lap, and your right arm is over the body with your left arm holding the neck, you can start strumming the strings, and I showed you this first so that you can go ahead and make some noise. Okay, so now that you've made some noise, let's take just a second to go over the different parts of the guitar. Now you understand how to hold it properly, but now you might be thinking, wow, there's a lot of knobs, there's 6 strings. We're gonna go over all of that right now. So this skinny part right here is what's known as the neck of the guitar. At the very end of the neck, this is called the headstock. So you've got the neck, you've got the head, you've got the body. So on the neck of the guitar, you will find these metal things all the way down. These are called frets. So now that you know that you have the neck, the headstock, and the body, the next thing I want to point out are the strings. So there are 6 strings that are connected from the body to the headstock of the guitar. you actually play the strings when you play guitar. You might be fretting on the neck, which we'll get there in a second. You might be strumming on the body, which we did a little bit earlier, but you're actually playing these 6 strings on the guitar. Another thing to point out is this metal piece right here, but on an acoustic would be this. It could be wooden. But this piece of the guitar that's on the body that's holding the strings is known as the bridge. So again, you have the headstock with your tuners, you have the neck with your frets, you have the body with your bridge. And don't worry if this feels confusing, you will pick it up, you'll get better at it as you go. I'm just giving you the basics today. So these 6 strings, which are E, A, D, G, B, E. And again, if that's confusing, don't worry. You will get there. This is just Guitar 101. This is your first ever introduction to guitar. If this gets confusing, you can always put down your guitar, take a break, walk a lap, get some water, whatever that looks like, come back and practice some more. Remember, this is supposed to be fun. So you have your 6 strings that are attached by your bridge and your tuning machines. So now that you know what the body is, what the neck is, what the headstock is, the tuners, the bridge, and the 6 strings, and you know how to properly hold your guitar with your right hand over the body with your left hand on the neck. Now you're going to need to know how to tune your guitar, because a guitar that is out of tune sounds like crap. Tuning is absolutely essential. A guitar will never sound good if it's out of tune, no matter how good you are at playing the guitar. So today we're going to talk about standard tuning. It's important to know that you can play most songs on the radio. You can play most of the songs that you know in standard tuning. Now I'm going to briefly go over it, and again, you can dive more into this later, but for today's lesson, we're going to go over standard tuning. So you're going to want to tune your strings starting with this low E. Now this is going to be weird for you to get your head around at first, but your low E is actually highest on the guitar. What I mean by that is your low E is at the top and your high E is at the bottom. And that might feel confusing at first. Once you start to think about it, it makes sense because your low E is the lower note. Your high E is the higher note. But what I want you to do is I want you to use your tuner, or if you don't have a tuner, you can download an app on your phone. Any guitar tuner will work, and you're going to tune your strings to these notes. So E, A, D, G, B, and then E again. So again, the easiest way to keep your guitar in tune is with one of those clip-on tuners, which you may have gotten if you bought your guitar in a starter pack, or if you don't have a tuner at all, you can just download an app on your phone. But you should be getting into the habit of as soon as you sit down to play your guitar, you should make sure you are in tune first. Now that you know the notes that you are tuning to, I want to point out that you're going to be tuning your guitar by turning these tuners on the headstock of your guitar. If you turn them away from you, if you turn them counterclockwise, you are taking the pitch of a string and you're going up with it. If you turn this same peg clockwise or towards you, you're taking the pitch of the string down. You're making it lower. So now that you know the very basics of what a guitar is, the basic parts, and don't worry about the electronics, that's not for today's video, but now you know the very basics of how to hold a guitar, what you're going to do to strum a guitar, you know what the neck is, you know what the headstock is, the tuning machines, the bridge, you know all of that. Now we're going to go over how you actually fret the guitar, or what you do with your left hand in order to make it sound pretty. So I want you to remember that when you're playing guitar, you should always be pressing down on the strings with your left hand with your finger tips, not the pads of your fingers, but the finger tips. This might feel kind of hard, this might seem difficult at first because you don't have calluses built up just yet, but the more you play, the easier it becomes because you strengthen the muscles in your hand, and also the skin on your fingertips gets rougher, so it's easier to play the strings the more you practice. So you're going to take your left hand and you are going to place it on the neck. I want you to take the very tip of your index finger, and you can pick anything on the neck, any of these frets, and what you're going to do is you're going to take your tip of your finger and you're going to press it down directly behind a fret. So you see these frets here, this metal wire, you do not want to press down on top of the fret. You see that? You don't want to press down directly over it. That will not sound right. what you want to do is you want to press down directly behind it. So you'll see the fret is right here. I'm pressing down on the string just behind it. So now that you have the very tip of your finger pressing down on the fret, you can strum a note. Right now, what I want you to focus on is just strumming a single note with one finger. So with your index finger, you can pick any note. I recommend you picking a note on your low E string. Remember, that's this one right here. Now that you have your index finger and you're going to use the very tip, you should be able to press down on a string directly behind the fret, and you should have a pretty sound. So if you've just tried that for the first time and it doesn't sound correct, if it sounds something like this, that could be one of two things. Either you are not pressing down hard enough, or you are not using the tip of your finger, you're trying to use the pad of your finger. So make sure you use the very tip and make sure you are pressing down hard enough to make the note ring out. So now you know the basics of the guitar. You know that there are 6 strings, you know how to tune your guitar, you know the different components of the guitar, you know how to properly hold it, you know how to fret, and remember, you want to do it behind a fret, not on top of it. So now you are making noise on your guitar. Good job. That alone is a feat that you should be happy about. But now we're going to go over your very first chord so that you can end this video and you can say that you know how to play the guitar. A chord is when you play multiple strings together and you play different notes depending upon where your fingers are on the neck of the guitar. Today we're going to start with an E minor chord, which is just 2 fingers. It's going to be your index finger and your middle finger. This chord is super easy. Not only that, it's a chord that gets used in a lot of songs and you'll hear it all over your favorite stuff. So for your first chord, this E minor chord that you're going to play, you need to go to the 2nd fret. So you know which fret you're on by counting them. So 1, so this is the 1st fret, this is the 2nd fret. It's also worth pointing out that these dots on the front of your guitar also help you indicate which fret you're on, but don't worry about that right now. For now, all you need to do is count the individual frets. So if this is fret number 1, because it's the first one, you want to go to fret number 2. So now that you found fret number 2, remember we're going to play our notes directly under the fret. So not on top of it, but in this space between fret 1 and 2. Now that you found fret 2, you're going to take your index finger and you're going to play your A string, which remember it is E, A. So your A string is the 2nd string. And you're going to take the very tip of your finger and you're going to press down on the A string 2nd fret, just like this. Remember, make sure you're pressing down hard enough and you're using the tip of your finger, or else it might not fret properly, it might sound buzzy, and you don't want that. You're also going to take your middle finger, this one right here, and on the same fret, so fret number 2, you're going to press down on your D string. Remember, it goes E, A, D. So if your index finger is on the A string 2nd fret, like this, then your middle finger is going to be on your D string 2nd fret, like this. But you're going to put them both together, so you're going to take your 2 fingers and you're going to press down on them together just like this. So it's just these 2 notes and then you're strumming your strings. This is what's known as an E minor chord. Once you've got that down, then you can start venturing out and learning more chords, but this is the first one that I believe you should start with. So now that you know how to play a chord, we should talk about your strumming pattern. For today's lesson, I want you to just do what's called down strokes. So you're going to hold down your E minor shape just like this. Then you're going to take your right hand and you're just going to strum down repeatedly on the strings like this. Once you've done that several times and now the chord is ringing out, then you can practice your upstrokes. So you would just go down and then up. So there you go, you just completed your very first guitar lesson. Now you know what a guitar is, you know how to hold it, you know the different parts, now you know how to play notes, you also know how to play your very first chord. So learning guitar is all about consistency. Even if you practice for only 10 or 15 minutes a day, you will notice you progress quickly with practice. Don't get discouraged if it is hard at the very beginning. Remember, the people who are good at guitar just suffered through the hard parts and they kept going. The only thing between you and someone who is really, really good at the guitar is they kept practicing. So don't feel discouraged, just keep playing and make sure you are having fun. So if you found this helpful, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Not only that, make sure you leave a like on this video and send this to somebody who's also wanting to learn how to play guitar. And I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the very next video.